Good evening. The time is now 7 p.m. I'd like to call to order the Planning and Development Committee meeting. Can I have a roll call, please?
Sulcata.
Here.
Oak.
Here.
Bongard.
Here.
Munt.
Here.
Gem.
Here.
Spellman.
Here.
Trilla.
Here.
Wirball.
Here.
Estner.
Here.
Weber.
Here.
Okay. Next up is the omnibus vote. I need a motion and a second to approve.
Munn move. Second.
Moved by Munn, second by Spellman. Roll call, please.
Petrilla.
Yes.
Estner.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Sulcata.
Yes.
Polk.
Yes.
Bongard.
Yes.
Munt.
Yes.
Gem.
Yes.
Spellman.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Next up is item 4A, a recommendation to approve a minor change to PUD and plat of easement for St. Charles Collision Experts at 3545 Legacy Boulevard, Lot 4, Legacy Business Center PUD. Ellen's presenting. Go ahead.
Thank you. This is a proposal to develop Lot 4 in the Legacy PUD with a new facility for an existing business, St. Charles Collision Experts. Preliminary plans for each lot in this PUD were approved in 2006. The proposed development differs slightly and requires approval of a minor change. Proposed is a single-story 8,000 square foot building accessed from Legacy Boulevard from an existing shared driveway with the lot to the west. There's customer parking in the front, vehicle storage parking in the rear with a screening fence, landscaping along Legacy and along building foundation walls, and a building design that's consistent with the PUD design requirements. The proposed changes comply with the PUD ordinance and the zoning ordinance. There's also a plat of easement that has been submitted for approval. There's an easement for ingress-egress to provide city access to a stormwater facility to the south of the property, and the easement runs through the lot, and it needs to be shifted slightly to the east outside of the building footprint, so the plat of easement has been provided for that. And staff has no outstanding comments.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, comments up here? Okay, I need a motion and a second to approve.
Weber will move.
Moved by Weber, seconded by David. Roll call, please.
Petrilla.
Yes.
Estner.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Sulcata.
Yes.
Polk.
Yes.
Bongard.
Yes.
Munt.
Yes.
Gem.
Yes.
Spellman.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Next up is item 4B, recommendation to approve a service agreement between the city and Habitat for Humanity of Northern Fox Valley for administration of the Urgent Need Home Rehab Program.
Yeah, Chairman, I will not be participating in any votes or discussions on the next two items, actually.
Okay, let the record reflect that David will be recusing himself for the next two items. Go ahead, Ellen.
Okay. So this proposed program is funded by the St. Charles Housing Trust Fund. It was recommended by Housing Commission and then was last reviewed by P&D Committee in July. Support was expressed for the program at that time, and staff has now prepared a service agreement between the city and Habitat to establish Habitat's administration of the program on behalf of the city. So the program will be in place once council approves the service agreement and then allocates housing trust funds to the program, which will be the next item on the agenda. Then staff and the Housing Commission will work with Habitat to promote the program. And the summary includes some background information on the proposal, but it is a grant program for households at 60% AMI or lower for urgent need repairs up to $20,000 per household.
Okay. Thank you, Ellen. Any questions, comments? Jamie, go ahead.
I have several questions because I was a little confused on a few things. My first one is this in place of the 0%, the 0% loan program?
No, we'll still have that program.
Okay.
That program works with a county program that kind of piggybacks on the counties, and it's for households at 80% or below, and it's a loan as opposed to a grant.
I just wasn't clear if we were replacing that program with this or if it was going to run in parallel.
No, we'll still offer that program. It's seen really low usage over the years, which was why the Housing Commission was interested in this program, which will hopefully be able to reach and help more homeowners.
And that makes perfect sense. I guess I'm a little unclear on how the administrator is going to determine some of these requirements based on reading the documents that were in the packet, because it doesn't really seem clear to me what some of these things are. Like, what is a St. Charles corporate limit as the boundary? Is that unincorporated included in that? Is that our city limits? And are we defining those things for?
Yeah, that's just the city limits, and Habitat's aware of that requirement.
Okay, and those are like in some kind of documentation that they are using when they're vetting these applications?
Yes, and they, I think it's stated in the summary that they have an existing critical repair program that covers our whole area, including unincorporated St. Charles. So if someone were to apply from unincorporated St. Charles, they could potentially still get funding from Habitat, but not under our program.
I guess my question was more around this document that's in this summary is not their program document that they're working from that has all the parameters. Would that be accurate? Do they have something that has more clear instruction in it?
Yeah, that's a good idea. We can provide them with maybe a map or some sort of verification system for addressing so that they can double check that the property is within our limits. Yeah. Otherwise, the program parameters that they're using, there's additional documentation that they use, but it's all basically the same as what they already use for their critical repair program, which is why they were, part of the reason why they were so willing to work with us on this program, because it's essentially many of the same requirements, except that our program is going to allow a higher home value limit. Their critical repair program that they offer now to their whole service area has a relatively low home value limit for people qualifying for the program, which would mean many in St. Charles would not qualify even if they're at the income. So with that, that's one of the few additional parameters that we're putting on kind of broaden the program availability to St. Charles residents.
Okay. I mean, that's good to know because that also leads to one of my other questions about the reporting that we'll get back from them. Mm-hmm. So since we already are running something through them, when we get those reporting, is there a list of what the needs were that were met with that? And do we get some kind of heat map as to where we're providing these things? I guess I'm trying to understand the question that is asked in there is very broad. It's just tell us about how the program's gone for this defined period. And I would hope that we would be looking for some kind of metrics to tell us if this is successful. You know, not just we had this many dollars that went out, but here's where these are located, and here's the kind of thing that we were helping with from whether it's siding or HVAC or whatever the item is, so that we understand what need we're fulfilling and how we can better that program in the future. And I guess I just didn't see any rigor around those questions, and I don't know if we're getting that from the other program.
Yeah, I can add additional questions in there to try to get more pointed feedback, like, enumerate how many calls you've gotten, what type of improvements they've been inquiring about, how many people are on the wait list, things like that, like more specific questions, so that hopefully we'll get better information. And
I was a little unclear with the 5% fee that we pay. It says that it's based on the project cost. So does that mean that if this household is spending $40,000 on a repair, even though we're not putting in that much money, are we paying based on the project cost?
No, it's based on our grant amount, so it's 5% of what we're giving.
Okay, so in total, if we use that whole $85,000, we'll spend $4,250 in administrative costs, and we don't necessarily see that in a breakdown on the invoice they send us. It just wants a total. And I would hope that we would be able to report out to the public or the Housing Commission, what are we spending on actual grant money, what are we spending on administrative costs. And then there was a part in there that said that there's a what did they call it? Some kind of household contribution, but it never talked about what that is and how that works. What is the household contributing?
Habitat, from my understanding, it's kind of case by case based on ability of the recipient to contribute. Okay. So they ask for, I think she said 5 or 10%, but sometimes it ends up being 0% or a couple $100. It's just kind of based on the need. So based on Habitat's experience and expertise in administrating similar programs already, they are planning to kind of continue doing for our program similar kind of case by case.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just didn't see that in the documents, and then it would be good to be able to break that out in what the invoice is, since they are deducting that from what we provide in that final number. I guess just from, a reporting standpoint, so that we know what the success is of this program, or lack of success, depending on what that is. So I'm just hoping that there can be some more rigor around the program document and what we see as far as reporting back to us when we do ask for the information from them. So.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
Any other questions, comments down here? Okay, looking for a motion and a second to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Bob, seconded by Jamie. Roll call, please.
Fessner,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Kulturitis,
Yes.
Volk,
Yes.
Baumgart,
Yes.
Munt,
Yes.
Gem,
Yes.
Spelman.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Next up is item 4C, recommendation regarding the St. Charles Housing Trust Fund allocation to the Urgent Need Home Rehab Program. Ellen, go ahead.
Okay, so as we just discussed, this will be the grant program funded by the Housing Trust Fund. Trust funds need to be allocated for the program. As a reminder, the trust fund is funded by developer contributions required under our inclusionary housing ordinance, and use of the trust fund is limited to affordable housing related activities, and we have a few existing programs: the home rehab and accessibility loan program, first time home buyer program, and then participation in the Kane County Affordable Housing Fund. The current available balance of the fund is about $1.5 million. The Housing Commission has recommended an initial fund allocation of $85,000 to this program, the new program. Staff recommends allocating this amount to start and then revisiting in 1 year to assess program usage and whether additional funds will be needed. But any funds that are allocated will continue to be allocated for that program kind of on a rolling basis, as opposed to in connection with a fiscal year, since this is coming from this dedicated trust fund.
Thank you. Any questions, comments up here? No? Okay, I need a motion and a second to approve.
Motion. So moved.
Moved by Vicky, seconded by Mark. Roll call, please.
Fessner,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Kulturitis,
Yes.
Volk,
Yes.
Baumgart,
Yes.
Munt,
Yes.
Gem,
Yes.
Spelman.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Next up is item 4E, a recommendation to approve a plot of vacation and plot of easement for Brook Street east of 17th Street. Russ will be presenting.
Yes, good evening. Staff received a request to vacate a strip of unimproved right-of-way of Brook Street, which is located along North 17th Street. This right-of-way is a half street width. It extends about 300 feet and terminates at another property. The property strip right now is overgrown. It has had some periodic city maintenance in the past to provide access onto that strip. It contains a deep sanitary sewer and some electric infrastructure. So if vacated, the property would be added to the adjacent industrial property, which is immediately to the south, 50 North 17th Street, and it would enable renovations on that property to utilize that expanded area. So staff reviewed the request, determined that the Brook Street right-of-way is not needed for street purposes in the future. However, easements would need to be retained more or less over the entire right-of-way because of the existing utilities and the deep sewer. So the easements would allow the area of the right-of-way to be utilized as additional setback area for the building or for a parking lot, or would allow additional land area for the building to be slightly larger based on that additional square footage. The vacation of this right-of-way would relieve the city of the maintenance responsibility for this strip of land, and staff believes that that is sufficient compensation for the vacation, given that the city will retain easement rights over the entire property that's vacated. So with a positive recommendation from the committee, staff will proceed with preparing ordinances to bring this to council.
Okay, thanks, Russ. Any questions, comments?
Thank you. Ron.
Ron, go ahead.
Thank you, Russ. I just got a question. Why are we not considering selling this portion of property? I'm not really a fan of giving away city property. We've had this discussion for previous developments. So I'd like to know why you think we should just
Yes, there certainly is the option to have the property appraised and come up with a fair value.
Okay.
The square footage and the configuration of the site and the restrictions with the utilities mean that it's likely not to be valued very highly because it really could only work to the benefit of this adjoining property owner. The city in the past has expended resources to access and maintain the strip. So the best use of the property to put it in a more productive use would be to combine it with the adjoining property.
Okay, I understand that, and that's a great idea, but I just want to make, if we could do an appraisal to find out if it's worth $1,000, then we should sell for $1,000. I just don't want to give it away, because the property owner will benefit from it by having the rights to the property. So if we could do that, I'd appreciate it.
Yes,
Just also to clarify, I think an appraisal would probably cost somewhere around $3,000 to do for that value.
Okay.
Okay. No, I'm
Ron,
done.
are you
I'm
good?
done, yeah. I just want to hear any other comments.
Okay. David? Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, I was kind of on the same page. Respectfully, Ron, we were on the same page, of course. I understand we're adding to this organization's, they're going to be paying higher taxes on this increased property as well, right? So it's not like.
Correct. Right now, it's street right-of-way, so it's not taxed.
Yeah, so and I get it, they're relieving us of maintenance. My more, not quote-unquote concerning, is like, are we really considering putting possibly a parking lot? And we have utilities, you said? I mean, isn't it kind of not recommended to put a parking lot over utilities?
Yeah, you can construct certain improvements over utility easements. It depends on the easement, but generally parking lots or paving are permitted over an easement. If the city needs to access it, we'll remove those improvements that are in the way, and we're not obligated to restore it typically, but those types of improvements, just not buildings, can be placed over utility easements.
I mean, I would, if there's utilities there, I mean, just former utility person myself, I would hope that we didn't put a parking lot. Is that what they want to do, or is that just an option, you said?
So because the easement restricts any types of building over that area, most likely they would use it as building setback area or parking lot. Those are really the only options.
I mean, overall, I understand Ron's point, but I think we are being, there is some give and take. It's worth it. So.
Steve, go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I don't see this as a very strategic piece of property for the city. I'd rather see it go to somebody that can further develop it, that we would in turn get more property tax revenue from. So the way that it sits now, I would make a motion to go ahead and move this along.
Give me a motion from Steve.
Second.
Second from Jamie. Or any other questions, comments up here? No? Roll call, please.
Petrella?
Yes.
Fester?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Sakaitis?
No.
Folks?
Yes.
Baumgart?
Yes.
Munt?
Yes.
Gem?
Yes.
Spelman?
Okay, that passes. Next up is item 4F, recommendation to amend municipal code section 12.04.072, snow removal in the downtown district. Go ahead, Russ.
Yes, the municipal code establishes a snow and ice removal district within the downtown. Within this district, properties containing either commercial uses or parking uses are required to clear snow and ice along sidewalk frontages of the property within 24 hours of a snow or sleet or freezing rain event. So all the property owners within this district benefit from consistent clearing of sidewalks used by downtown visitors and patrons. This district was first created in 2003. In terms of the enforcement of the code requirement, the code allows a $50 a day fine against a property owner. In practice, enforcement is more complaint-based and starts with a courtesy contact, and a violation notice could be issued if there's a repeat offender. But tonight we're proposing to update the district boundaries. The boundaries reflect the downtown as it existed in 2003. Since that time, more walkable commercial areas have been expanded into some of the adjoining properties, particularly to the south. And the footprint of the First Street project, for example, extends south of the current district. So staff's proposing boundaries to be slightly expanded. We'd add additional commercial mixed-use areas that are today part of the downtown. And these additions would improve the continuity of the cleared pedestrian routes along the fringes of downtown. And there's a map within the packet for committee consideration.
Okay, thanks, Russ. Any questions, comments up here? Go ahead, Jamie.
I just want to say I very much support the city expanding the portion that they clear, because I know there have been a lot of complaints over time about sidewalks not being cleared, not being passable by people. in, wheelchairs or strollers, things like that. I do want to understand who pays for this? Is this part of an SSA?
Yes, so this is not part of an SSA. It was originally discussed as an SSA back when the district was created, but it is a district where all the individual property owners are responsible for clearing their own sidewalks. There's a large portion of this district that is cleared by the city because there's a lot of city-owned properties in plazas, in areas along parking lots that the city maintains, but otherwise it's the individual property owners who would be required to clear the sidewalks. And this requires that it be done consistently within a certain time frame. So I believe prior to this district being in place, there were certain property owners that did not regularly clear their sidewalks, and it wasn't being done consistently within the downtown.
And so this, just so I understand for sure, this is just amending the footprint of that district. This is not saying that the city will take care of those.
Correct. It's just
properties.
expanding the footprint of the existing district.
Okay. I guess I would wonder also what opportunities there are to be a little bit more timely with these and not necessarily waiting for complaints, because you run into ADA issues if you've got these sidewalks blocked. And I guess, I would like to see this more expanded beyond the downtown footprint, but I don't know that there's an appetite for that. I think that there are people, even in weather like we have now, who are walking and riding and trying to get around. So I don't know if this 24-hour and waiting for a complaint to come in is necessarily the right way to do that, since we have vehicles from the city of all different types that drive up and down our streets all the time. If we could be more proactive in looking at that.
Yes, we certainly could do that, and I think our enforcement practice is typically to contact the property owner and make sure they're aware of the requirement and give them an opportunity. If we have a situation with repeated owner not complying and clearing the sidewalk, then we would take a different approach.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jamie. Anyone else? Questions, Scott? So I just want to ask you, how will you be notifying the owners that will be impacted by this new map?
So we'll reach out to them individually, send them a letter, or make contact with the ones we have contact information for to let them know that they're being added to the district.
Okay, great. All right.
Move for approval.
Moved by David.
Second.
Second by Jamie. Roll call, please.
Petrilla,
Yes.
Fester,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Kulturitis,
Yes.
Folks,
Yes.
Gonga,
Yes.
Munt,
Yes.
Gem,
Yes.
Spelman.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Next up, we have public comment. Any public comment out there? No? Okay. Additional items from mayor, council, or staff?
Question.
Go ahead.
Thank you. This might be a question for Heather. I was just wondering if there's any update on talking to the railroad about the potential of that property in between the two bike paths.
We have been partnering with both the Forest Preserve as well as the Park District on gathering a timeline. Our next step right now, from the appraisal that we got back from the railroad, is to contact our state legislators to ask them for assistance in reducing the cost. Right now, the appraisal that we received back from the railroad is exorbitant and higher than the original appraisal we received. So trying to take another strategy with it and go at it a different way right now. So we're still working at that timeline with our staff level first.
Okay, thank you. Please let me know if I can possibly help at all.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Okay, any other comment? Jamie, go ahead.
This is also for Heather, I believe. I'd like to understand if we have, like, communication standards for community or emergency response incidents. Based on some of the complaints and questions I've gotten in the last 3 days or 2 days, I would like to better understand what our standards are for communicating about emergency situations to the public and making things clear to people in surrounding areas that are being impacted by those emergencies.
Sort of assuming this is referencing the incident that happened over the weekend. It's a tough needle to thread, only because we want to make sure that our police department is empowered to protect the information they need to protect, while making sure that if there is either a threat or information that's relevant to the public, that we're putting that out there. And this was one of those particular situations where, we notified the public there was no immediate threat to the safety. I realize that doesn't always satisfy the people in the community that are looking for maybe a little bit more detail. Well, we also want to make sure that our police department is responsible for deciding what information is released and when, assuming that there is no immediate threat to public safety. Certain if we had a situation like that, there would have been a different level of communication. but, you know, making sure that our chief is making that decision in terms of what information is appropriate to release to the public, and making sure that their priority is still doing their job in terms of the actual police presence and response to an incident. So there's no official communication policy, only because I think every situation, especially in those incidents, are case by case.
I suppose that my point in asking is that while the reality might be from the police perspective that there's no danger when something happens close to residential areas and then information gets out to those areas, they feel that they are entitled to some sort of knowledge to know if they need to protect themselves, and to hear at a much later time that not only was there no threat in the mind of the city, but also that the perpetrator is not caught, and that in this particular case there was most likely a firearm involved. It makes those residents very concerned to not receive more timely information, and they feel that the city is withholding that if they're not being forthcoming with something. And I guess that's really where my question is the timing of putting out some kind of statement, that we're aware, and that when we know that there is information being shared on multiple platforms across places. I got alerts from the Ring app, and then I was told that there were posts on Facebook, and the Nextdoor app. So there's information being shared by the community, but if we're not being clear about what's happening, it leaves the public the opportunity to create their own narrative, and that creates more of a public safety hazard, in my opinion.
Sure, I completely understand it. I think that it's tough with all the social media that exists and scanners and those type of apps, and our police response first and foremost is to respond to the actual incident, and it makes it really difficult to pull somebody off who is actually responding to the potentially active threat, and instead of doing the police job, posting something either on social media or our website. So when it's appropriate, we do prioritize getting that information out and making sure that the relevant information, like letting them know there is no threat to the public safety of the surrounding community, is usually the way that we engage with that, because there is ultimately information that is just not appropriate to release to the public, even if they are hearing some of that information and extrapolating some of that information through some of those channels. But it's really important for us to rely on our police department to determine what information is appropriate to release, and I know that's hard with social media and the different things that exist, but that's still ultimately where I think we need to go.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments down here? Mark, go ahead.
Just piggyback off of something Mayor Hall said last week, with tomorrow being Veterans Day. Alderperson Weber, thank you for your service, or any other veterans out here. Thank you. Any watching, thank you. Thank you for all you've done. Just to piggyback, Mayor, knowing that's tomorrow, so just thank you all, veterans. That's all.
Yes, absolutely.
Heather, you have something?
Just a very quick update. I know that we've been talking about some historic preservation issues regarding the Berry House and the properties next door. Staff has developed a solution. We are currently working on executing that solution, and once we get to that point, we will bring any necessary agreements back before council, but just wanted to make a quick update on that publicly as well.
Okay, thank you, Heather. We don't have an executive session tonight, so I need a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Jamie,
Second.
seconded by Mark. Roll call, please.
Petrillo?
Yes.
Tester?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Kulkaitis?
Yes.
Volk?
Yes.
Bungard?
Yes.
Munt?
Yes.
Gem?
Yes.
Spellman?
Yes.
This meeting's adjourned.